Who's in the lab? Who's on the mic? Who's bringing fire tonight? Turn it up, share the stream. Welcome to the PT team. Final welcome to the underground. This is where we grow. Science meets the passion. Let the whole world know. PT SporeCast. Come and take your seat. Every single episode, another legend we meet. PT SporeCast. Knowledge over ego. PT SporeCast. Let's grow. Welcome to PT SporeCast. Let's meet today's guest.
Yeah, we got a good audience. Awesome. All right. Thank you guys again for joining us in PT for the SporeCast. Today we've got Michael0gical, Black Forest Cultures, Mike C. He's a couple aliases. Glad to have him here. Thanks for joining us, dude.
Cool. Thank you for having me. Thanks for those in the audience. Appreciate you guys attending. Thank you. Looking forward to it.
Thanks for coming, guys. Feel free to add questions. As always, go ahead and tag me in them, please, or Shroom, and just so that I can make sure I try not to lose any in the chat if we get going, and I'll try to get back to them all. Yeah, so today I wanted to go over with you, like kind of just find out about you, kind of go about your past and how you got into mycology, kind of your journey with it, and get into some of the things that you've got going on today and what you're looking for in the future. So let's start with that. How did you get into mycology? What got you started?
Well, once again, thanks for having me. I'm stoked about it, to have a conversation with you guys. So mycology, that really obviously wasn't the first thing on my mind when I got into this. Getting into this was more about psychedelics than it was about mycology. When I was younger, I started playing the drums probably when I was about 3 years old, which is pretty young, obviously. I mean, that's going to sound odd, but yeah. When I was a kid, I always wanted to be a rock star when I grew up, right?
Hell yeah.
I think I took a lot of time up to about 10 years old to spend a lot of time listening to the music of the late 60s and early 70s. I had a heavy influence from my parents kind of playing that stuff in the house all the time. I was born in 1980. So obviously that was like at the end of that era when it kind of changed. So I'm 46 right now. But I grew up in a household listening to that stuff, and I always wanted to try to emulate that, and in my own practice, because I wanted to be a musician when I grew up. So, that kind of sound from the late 60s and early 70s has that, like, obviously a kind of a style, right? It's
right.
It's obviously heavily influenced by something in that age. You really can't identify what that is. But I think, for the most part, that's psychedelic drug use, really, that kind of spun a lot of the way that style is perceived. I didn't obviously find that out until I was much older, but I was heavily influenced by that sound. So, by the time I was like probably 12 or 13, I kind of realized that that's what was going on. I was smart enough to understand that at that point. So I didn't actually take psychedelics until I was 16. And I thought that if I did that it would have an influence on my capability to tap into some of that mojo, So that's really how I got into, using psychedelics. And it was purpose driven because I tried to kind of emulate some of that stuff in my creativity when it came to my music.
Do you find, quick question, did you think that
Yeah,
it
sure.
helped? Like, did that, help you influence your music, or how do you feel about that?
That's a good question. I mean, now I think looking back on it, I think the fact that I was exposed to that music at an early age had more of an influence on it than use of psychedelics, but it definitely did a couple of other things that I wasn't aware of at the time. And as a 16-year-old um, using LSD for the first time, um, I took 300 micrograms of Picard Lab LSD.
Oof.
And I don't know if you guys know what that is, but I
Mhm.
was obviously not very intelligent at that point in my life, and it kind of came off with a little bit overshooting, if that makes any sense,
Yeah.
at that
Yeah.
age. Um, it wasn't a good experience, obviously, because I didn't understand it. I didn't have any influence. I didn't have any guidance. At that age, I just decided to go ahead and do that. And I was with somebody. I was in a relationship with somebody that wasn't a very good person at the time. So, and I was with her while I took it, and you could imagine how that turned out. So that kind of set the tone for a lot of uh, my teens and my early 20s using psychedelics. It kind of set the tone for that because it influenced a lot of that use. Um,
When you spoke on music, did you have any favorite musicians who were quite clearly into psychedelics, or their
oh
music was
God,
very psychedelic like?
definitely. I mean, I at like 5 and 6 years old, I was listening to things like Can and
Okay.
Pink Floyd, of course, early Pink Floyd and Cream,
Yeah.
and that later progressed into like things like Yes and Genesis and progressive rock. That was kind of less influenced by that, but still very technical and
Right.
still like kind of leaving the 70s with that. But early Pink Floyd and things like that.
It's awesome because
Yeah,
that stuff
I
still holds today. It's still good to listen to.
definitely.
You
Yeah.
have some a little bit of psychedelics in your system, and you put Pink Floyd on, it always hits.
Hell
It
yeah.
really translates. I mean, they have said obviously, like if you look at interviews and things like that, that it wasn't uh, influenced by that. But I mean, it's clearly evident when you experience that stuff when you're under the influence that it's really got something to it that really translates well. Whether that was their intent or not, I don't know, but it's awfully
Yeah.
it's a coincidence that it's so perfect. I don't know, but yeah, if to answer your question, yeah, I do think that it had an influence on the way that I create. um but it took a long time to get over the hump of the challenge of actually going through that, at such a young age and continuing to use it. It's for the most part, it was frightening. It still really is, honestly. It's
do
even
you
at
think
46 years old.
do you think that if you would have waited till you were older and maybe more mentally
Mm.
mature, that it would have been more beneficial starting then,
Oh yeah,
like
absolutely.
psychedelic use?
But when you don't have an awareness at such a young age, when obviously in 1996 there was a lack of research for somebody that age with no internet, no people to talk to about it. That the relative safety of consuming this kind of stuff, it's more of like challenging mentally than it is physically. And when you're unaware of that at a young age and you don't have any guidance, it can be really challenging. So you're absolutely 100% correct. I think that it would have been a lot smarter, and I'm not an advocate at all for people even using them in the first place. I mean, that I know that sounds probably contradictory to to my personality and all the things that I've got going on, but like I really kind of take the time to explain to people and qualify their mindset before I recommend anything like that. And for the most part, I'm trying to convince people that this is probably not a good idea until you educate yourself enough, and you should understand the circumstances of getting involved with
Yeah.
this, for sure.
Yeah, I respect that. That's I think that's yeah, that's really I think I'm the same way. It's important to understand what you're getting into with it, and it's like to me it's a perspective thing maybe because to me it's not like a lot of maybe not a lot, but there are plenty of people that view it as like a party thing and whatnot. And I don't hate on that. It is what it is. People are gonna view it that way. But to me, it's really a medicine, introspective thing that can help you grow as a person. But you got to be ready for that and not
Not for me at
overdo
all.
it too.
I couldn't
No.
imagine taking it, I couldn't imagine taking anything in in any dosage in a setting like they used to do in the 60s in those videos and things like that. Like those people really had free spirits. And I'm not,
Yeah.
I mean, like I'm tortured by, ADHD and ego and all the things like that, and probably some trauma, when I was a child, that I couldn't imagine being in a setting like that and being under the influence. So like I'm basically alone, I make it a
Yeah.
point to that. So I find that really challenging to look at, the late 60s like that and have it have a party kind of mentality like that, because it's never been like that for me in any way at all.
Yeah. I get that. So okay, so you didn't start out with mycology, obviously. You started out
No.
with being interested in psychedelics and that kind of growing into a point where obviously at some point you started growing. When did that happen? What did that look like? Like how did that transition?
So I took psilocybin for the first time when I was 18. Um, and I used it for quite some time on and off until sometime around 2009. I got a pretty large quantity from somebody. It happened to be PES Amazonian. Um, I took a small amount of it sometime around 2009, and it literally sat in a drawer until 2012. Um, and I didn't touch it. I was going through all kinds of things. I mean, I was establishing my family. I mean, I'm married. I have 5 children, so like I was in the middle of that at the point. Um, but in 2012, since that sat in a drawer for 3 years or so, um, there was something like 7.5 grams left in a bag, and I was like, since this sat there for so long, I'm just gonna go ahead and eat the whole thing. Um, and in so 2012, December 6th, 2012, I consumed 7.5 grams of PES Amazonian because I was
Wow.
under the impression that since it sat for so long that I wanted to go somewhere, but I was miscalculating the roll off of efficiency of this stuff in a drawer for 3 or 4 years. And yeah, I'm sure that you can clearly understand where that went. I mean, I ended up in the backyard pretty much like with little to no clothes on in the middle of December or the beginning of December in northern New Jersey where it's quite cold, digging holes in my backyard, clearing vegetation and other things like cutting trees down. And my wife came home and found me basically covered in dirt, brought me in the house, and for the next 4 or 5 hours or so after that, after she cleaned me up, I had experiences like the television having full blown conversations with me. Um, like reliving past childhood trauma, things like that. So to answer your question, shortly after I came out of that, I was like, basically, I'm never going to do that to myself again. now that I've, got my faculties back in order, maybe this stuff isn't for me. And probably 2 days later, just something came over me, and I was like, you know, that the fact that I triumphed over that, and I remained calm, and I felt like I defeated something about
Mm,
myself that maybe I had been hiding for a long time. Um, Especially with my personality, flaws and things like that, they kind of came up to the forefront. It was a really difficult experience, obviously, but I was like, there's more to this than I obviously overdid it, right?
Mm.
But I'm looking to explore this a little more. So for the next 2 years, excuse me, for the next 2 years, I did research, whatever I could find on the internet, shroomery, anything like that, Erowid, speaking to people and like very basic chat rooms, obviously at the time,
mm.
to kind of gather enough information. I finally ended up ordering some spore syringes off of Spore Swaps. Um, Spore Works. I'm sorry, Spore Swaps, Spore Works. Of course, in 2014. Coincidentally, they're a vendor on Culture Cave basically now, and we're involved with them. So that kind of runs full circle for me. So that's kind of a something that I toot
Yeah,
my
that's
horn
cool.
about occasionally.
That's
But
cool.
I got a couple of Spore syringes from Spore Works back in 2014, and of course I ordered PES Amazonian. Um, I
Oh, yeah.
had success, right off the bat. I was using PF Tech, shotgun fruiting chambers, and using BRF in jars, which is brown rice flour and vermiculite mixed. I was doing things like putting manure-based substrate into those and steam sterilizing them, inoculating the jars. Um, I I started using those as a grain, like a jar to grain transfer in bags that I would get from Outgrow. I was getting, like sterilized grain from Outgrow and throwing the entire cake in the bag, and then taking that entire log and putting that in a shotgun fruiting chamber instead of, using it in a out of a jar, which is a pint jar is really small, right? So I kind of try to
Yeah.
expand it that way. And then I found mono tubs and things like that on the shroomery, and how to do that and break it up and add it to substrate and all that. So, and that was probably about around, by the time I got to that, it was maybe 2016. So I've been growing since 2014, pretty
Okay.
much.
So okay. So you're growing, you're experimenting. I'm sure you're kind of using as you do it and having your experiences, and it seems like something that you seem intentional about, which I love. I find it interesting. Other people that are intentional about their use. And is it, for me, it goes hand in hand with the cultivation thing. Is that how it is for you? Like you're growing certain things because you love it, but that's kind of part of what helps you as well.
I mean, I've heard Platty say this so many times, and he's so like bang on about like the fact that the process is cathartic, in itself, and it really when like when you've got something, especially now at our point, when we're doing crossbreeding and things like that, like even for that first amount of success, um, there's nothing like getting sent on your own brand, um,
Yeah.
especially when you're doing this to yourself intentionally. I mean, you've gotten up to the point where you're like physically growing it and then dosing yourself, and whether or not it's to spawn creativity or tackle, things about your personality that you disagree with, that sometimes some of these things are habitual,
Mhm.
um, but yeah, absolutely. The process, has become embedded in the experience itself. I wouldn't have it any other way. I couldn't
Yeah.
imagine taking something from somebody else and using it. Like, even if I get a culture from somebody, I have to grow it out, and it has to understand me, and I have to understand it before there's a rites of passage for it.
Yeah,
You
I
have to
get that.
respect it.
I feel like this might be woo woo to some people, but I feel like there is something to be said about your grows and the intention and care and all of that that you put into the grow, that shows up later, in use, not even just for myself, but for others. It feels like, and that might be nonsense or whatever, but it does feel like that. The intention and love that you put into it shows up
Not at all.
with a better experience
I
for.
I totally agree with that as well. Me personally, I wouldn't want to consume fruits from a household that's full of rage and anger. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I feel like your fruits absorb that, and that can. Or, I'm not saying every bad trip is due to those reasons, but I feel like I don't know. It's a bit spiritual, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, I'm never like never bad mouthing my mushrooms or anything. You know what I mean?
Fair.
I love and care for them. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, absolutely.
I wanted to touching back on doses as well. Do you what's your recommended dose, Mike? Are you a 5 gram plus 7.5? What's your usual go to dose or even microdose?
Back in the day, yes. 5 grams is definitely like the go-to, but
Right.
obviously things have gotten considerably more potent over the past few years, especially within the past 2 or 3. Um,
Hmm.
I wouldn't really recommend anything that is 1.5% total alkaloids, anything over 2 grams really. If you're talking sub 1% total alkaloids, probably 3.5. Um, that's why like getting things tested and
You cut out.
understanding where they sit. Oh, I did.
Sorry. Yeah, you cut
Am
out
I
there for a second. So you said one or 2 grams for something that's 1.5, and then you cut out and it kind of went to 3. So yeah, go from there. Sorry.
apologies? Yeah, back in the day, like I said, a 5 gram dose was good for lighter strength stuff. But like I said, things have gotten considerably more potent over the past few years. So, when you're talking about things in the spectrum of 1.5 total alkaloids, I think a 2 gram dose of cubensis is effective. Um,
Yeah.
in the sub 1% category, I think you can step it up to about 3. But that's why it's really important to get things tested and to understand um, the culture, to understand like the end result, obviously where it sits in that spectrum, because that the total alkaloid content is really dependent on where you wanna try to set your dosage with. Um,
So will you not consume a fruit unless it's been tested?
Yeah, I mean, if I have a lot of obvious experience, and I
Hmm.
have quite the few amount of friends that know, you know, where I'm at mentally, and I understand them, so like I take their opinion into consideration if it's not.
Right.
Um, of course, I have people that I rely on that have that kind of experience, that know better, and yeah, of course, I'll try to do as much research as possible before. And I have my go-tos. There are these land races and all these other things that we're bringing in now with crossbreeding and stuff that have so many different profiles of entourage, you know, spectrum chemicals, that a lot of these have an influence on, is this going to be dark? Is this going to help me with anxiety? Is this going to create anxiety? You know,
Right.
so for sure.
What are those go-tos for you?
Hmm.
Oh, I mean, lately it's been my Meridian Gates, because I trust it. It knows me. I crossed it. I know it. Um, you know, traditionally, obviously, PES Amazonian is something that I know by heart. Blobberry, I'm really familiar with. That makes me like kind of cry constantly every time I take it. That's a rough go. If you're looking to do some deep, work there, that's a good thing for that. Smoky to Ghost is just a fantastic run. I mean, that runs about 0.9, and I'm so familiar with it at that point. I mean, Moon just did such a fantastic job with that. It's really right in the pocket. It's really good phenotype, and it's really expressive and on the plate in the tub. It's eager to fruit. It's awesome. So yeah,
Yeah,
those
that's
are some of my go-tos.
so. I'm curious. You just mentioned your stuff and your cross. How did you get to the point where you're at? I'm wondering where your transition from I'm a grower, I'm a cultivator to I'm a vendor to where you're at now. What that kind of transition looks like for you.
But honestly, a lot of that stuff, it's almost like it felt like getting hit by a truck. Really, most of it has come out of necessity and practice. I think, like I spent obviously 10 years before I moved to Colorado in 2023. I spent the good portion of time not speaking about what I'm doing, obviously for legal reasons. Back in New Jersey, where I'm from, it was obviously highly still stigmatized at that point. I really didn't have a lot of um, feedback. Only my very close friends and family knew what I was doing for 10 plus years until I actually moved out to Colorado in 2023. And, we're obviously protected by the Prop 122, which is the Natural Medicine Act in this state that allows us to grow without,
Right.
it's decriminalized without, having, the possibility of legal ramification, right? But that's when I
Right.
really started to kind of express myself, reach out to people in the community, tell people what I'm doing. Um, and from that point on, I met Moon probably, I want to say a year and a half ago, and we had a very brief conversation about Hellhound because I saw it somewhere and in some forum, and I was like, this looks fantastic. Like how do I get my hands on this? I
Oh
want to
yeah.
try to run it. And as soon as I met him, it was like getting shot out of a cannon. He's like I think he recognized very quickly that I knew what I was doing, but I didn't have the kind of networking, and I didn't have the kind of conversations that needed to happen in order for me to progress. So that was a quick thing for him. I feel like, where he was like, oh, since I feel like you've got a good grasp on what you're doing, why don't you go ahead and join up BDG? And that is really when the substrate hit the fan for me, really. It's been a very steep climb up to plate work and making my own LC, learning how to crossbreed. I can't speak enough about that experience, that going through those classes with him and stuff, that had an influence on how I am. It got me introduced to so many different people like Blue and Q and all those guys from BDG doing amazing work, like Duck and Heifel and Wade. It's been a really crazy experience uphill for me to kind of get a lot of exposure from those people, learn a lot, try to like bring something to the table too, with a lot of like very old school tech.
Mm.
Because a lot of these guys now, like Matt and things like that, are just running right straight to bags and have all this um, crazy wealth of knowledge and really, really fantastic style, and
Right.
for them to kind of get exposed to somebody that's been doing it for a long time, like, wow, you guys used to do this kind of stuff back in the day. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But that's
That's
how
how
that
I feel
happened.
sometimes. That's
Well,
cool. So you've gone a lot with BDG, and then now I've noticed you're doing a lot more like of your own thing, and your plates, and there's some stuff happening with that. I'd love to find out about that.
mm,
First,
For
yeah,
sure.
like you're gone on this journey of getting to where you're at right now. I guess what I want to figure out is where exactly are you right now?
Oh, everywhere really. That's tough because like my somebody with ADHD, it's
Yeah.
it's hard to keep a grasp on so many different things at one time.
I
But
I totally understand. I'm also ADHD as hell, like crazy with it. It's so many projects, so many things always going on at the same time. So I feel it.
I think some of us with those kind of afflictions are kind of drawn to this stuff. I mean, in
Yeah.
some way, there is a little bit of relief when you can kind of focus on stuff. Especially if you have ADHD, it's kind of hard to finish anything. Too many things at one time, I guess. But where I'm at right now is working very closely with Q and Blue and Culture Cave, um, working with Telly and Matt to kind of, how did I get into being a vendor? I mean, I don't even know. I think that really kind of came from people saying, "Oh, it looks like you're doing something cool. Can I get some of that?" Um,
Yeah.
and sharing cultures and people are asking me for stuff all the time, so that's how I got into vending really, and then it only made sense, the natural progression that we got together and you know made Culture Cave is tried to make it as successful as possible, make keep
Yeah.
things organized. And I come from the corporate world, so like I'm very regimented. I know that I have a problem paying attention to things, so like I kind of overdo it when it comes to stuff like that.
But what is your role with Culture Cave?
So Q, that's his concept, and Blue is the guy orchestrating things. He makes sense of everything, and they asked me to become a part of it because I guess they, you know, not to say that I wasn't trying to become independent from BDG. It's just I think that's really kind of a natural progression for people when they kind of like start to go off and get independence and doing their thing. They're comfortable practicing. They're coming up with their own thing. I mean, like a lot of those guys that came out of that school are off on their own doing their own thing. I think it was just like a kind of a natural thing for them to ask me if I wanted to be involved in it. And I was like, well, what are the things that I can bring to the table? I can try to bring organization. So my role is really sometimes, unfortunately, being authoritative, especially with vendors and things like that, which I hate doing. But I'm pretty good at communicating with people. I think I politically have good relationships with people. I understand how to um, moderate situations, which I've had to do quite a few times when some people didn't want to work exclusively with one another or something. And like since people have been in practice for a very long time, um, there's internal conflicts and things that are long standing that I had to get in front of. And I think I have a general prowess, I suppose you can define
I
it
To
as,
guess
to
smooth
kind
out,
of
yeah.
to smooth situations out. Exactly. And
right,
it's in my
smooth out some
interest
road
because
bumps.
I like helping people, I mean, even if it's like about consumption or the experience or, right up into the point where I try to like mentor people or, um, give them advice. I try to make myself available, like like just be a friend to people. So I think that's where that kind of came from.
One thing for me that I've noticed about you, it's just kind of an observation I've had, is you're a person that hypes everybody up. Like you
Definitely.
seem to have everybody's back, and you're like, "Yo, go check this guy out. Do that." You hype everybody up, and I think that's awesome. I love that.
I love to see people getting success, man. I mean, that's
Yeah, that's the
something that's
thing.
like unheard of in this. You know, there's a lot of competition in this space. You
Yeah,
know, and I think that comes from the fact that there's a lot of big personalities involved with this stuff, and the reason why is because when people actually have this experience, I think that they realize the duality in some of the ways that they want to be, and
Mm.
some of the ways that their personality is put off, and what and it's easy to put the way that other people see you in perspective under under the influence of the experience, and it kind of makes you question, like, do I really want to act like this, you know? And I think
yeah,
people with big egos are drawn to this stuff, you know, because it gives you some kind of relief from from the struggle you know, from that protection circuit that the ego is consistently trying to uphold, you know, your personality
right.
wise. So I think that a lot of people are like involved in this, or they're tough people mentally, um, and that's where that kind of competitive kind of edge comes from all the time. And I just get a lot of satisfaction out of pushing people up into the space where admiration and acknowledgement is warranted, you know, because people are doing good work in the shadows. So, you know, I want to
Yeah.
bring that to light so that people can see it. You know, I just love when I see people just flying off the handle, coming up with new stuff. It's
Yeah, I
Definitely.
can tell you genuinely it seems to me that you genuinely love it when anyone is succeeding. Like, and I feel that too. I see anybody doing something cool and like it's working for them. Awesome. Um
I think
yeah.
Platty says it best. You know, when we got you know, like there should be no like competition in this space, because not only like does the experience like that says like no to that, you know, almost it's like
Right.
contradictory
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
to
Well,
it's
this is
very
what
humbling.
I also had a question. I was gonna, well, the same topic pretty much. So what's your opinions on like, gatekeeping recipes and techniques and stuff like that? Like, this is one of the main reasons we had you on here as well, mind. Because I know you'll happily explain anything. Like your Instagram, for example. I'm not sure if you've got a YouTube, but your Instagram, for example, is so explanation. You explain so much. Do you know what I mean? You're not gatekeeping anything or hiding anything away. Like you'll happily explain, and or that sludgy agar recipe, for example. I commented asking for the recipe, and you happily said it back straight away. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, that was a mistake. You know, a
Yeah.
mistake isn't something that should be gate kept. It should, you know, the reason why I say half of this stuff, like on whether it's like on in Discord or on my Instagram or anything like that, is because I want other people to be in practice this stuff, because it needs to be either discredited, or if there's something to it, then it needs to be reinforced by the community. So gatekeeping stuff is not good, because we need data, you know? I mean,
Right.
people have to put this stuff into practice to see where the failure points are and things like that. So there like there isn't any progression with what we're trying to do community wise collectively, um, if you withhold information from people, because that's the kind of stuff that it will compound, you know, our progression, you know, when people are in practice together and they're kind of supporting one another. I mean, that's another reason why I push people up in the space. Gatekeeping doesn't do anything to advance what we're trying to do here. And what we're really trying to do is fight the good fight, saying like this stuff is good for people's lives if they have specific issues, these are the circumstances in which they should be taken in. It should be taken seriously, and these are the best practices to kind of make it happen as easy as possible for people to give enough people exposure to this stuff that it makes it simple for them, especially because we have to skirt past the law in a gray area fashion in most places. I mean,
Yeah,
Right.
totally understand that.
for sure.
So, yeah, I'm wondering. I kind of want to shift here to some of the projects that you have going on. It's kind of
Mhm.
a hard shift there, but I really wanted to get in some chat about your plates. You had put out something recently that some pre-orders for new petri dishes that, from the sound of it, seem pretty awesome. I'm wondering where you're at on that, how that works or came to be, um, and what we're looking at as far as like when those come around or updates or yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, that was like kind of like over the past like 6 months or so, I probably prepared and poured and inoculated and or used for transfers probably 2,500 plates
Wow.
or so.
Oof.
And I think at some point, sometime in the middle of that, I was like, I was running out of grafting tape and things. That's what I use because it's a little bit easier
Mhm.
Yeah.
than paraffin to work with, I think. And DK, dichotomous keys, turned me on to quite a few things in practice like grafting tape. So, but in the middle
Legend.
of that, yeah, he certainly is. He's a good friend. And we can get into that in a bit. But sometime in the middle of pouring those plates, I was like, why isn't anybody making it so that we don't have to tape these shut? Like it either snaps fit or it has a gasket on it. And I started doing a little research and I did find some alternatives that were kind of more like of the Tupperware type, polyurethane or whatever that material is. Um, and they were kind of clunky and they were cloudy, that material, so you can't really see through it. What we use, you know, industry wise regularly, if you just go on anywhere and buy plates, is polystyrene. And they're obviously rigid. And, for the most part, when you get a decent size order, there's always going to be that, percentage that's cracked and damaged inside of the box from
Right.
shipping and poor handling or whatever, because they're pretty rigid, but they're like that. So that way we can see through them and they're nice and clear. Um, but I was like, I'm sick of taping this stuff shut because I do a lot of transfer work where I take one piece literally and I will close it back up. So I have to pull the tape off, retape it, pull the tape off, retape it. It's like
Right.
obviously not you know, um,
Ideal.
eco-friendly or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm like, let me just figure out how to do this with something that's clear. So I designed something that was polycarbonate instead of polystyrene. So that's just as clear. It's a little bit more resilient in shipping. You can autoclave it. It doesn't break down and get cloudy from that. It's going to have a screw top plate, obviously. There's going to be a few millimeters of empty space between where the top of the lip of the receiving end of the plate is and where the thread starts, so that you can take the top of the lid and unscrew it and stack them, like, because we pour from the bottom up, obviously, if you have good technique.
Mhm.
um, and it's got a Permatex gasket in it, and it's breathable, so that way it's got enough exchange in it so that you can colonize without choking it. Even though that sometimes that's your point, depending on what you're going
Real,
for.
I
real quick.
absolutely.
I don't think I understood that part you were just talking about with stacking and pouring. So you just there you can still stack them but leave them unscrewed so that you can pour from the bottom or
Correct. Correct. So okay, so
Okay.
like the thread starts a
Wow.
few millimeters down. So that means that you can unscrew it and still put the lid on, and there's enough space so that you can pull the lid off and on very quickly
Gotcha.
without it being screwed on.
Gotcha.
Um,
Gotcha.
in the threading pitch, it's going to start even so that the lid sits flat, and that way, because we pour in stacks of 10 basically, or 15 if you're
Right.
chopsy, and from
Yeah.
the bottom up. And then once they cure in front of the hood, and then the gel sets up, gel strength, or from your agar, then depending on if you're doing sludge tech or not, which never sets, but then you can screw them on shut tight, and after they're set, and you don't have to tape
Yeah.
them shut.
That's
Um,
awesome.
Yeah, I think that's awesome too. Do you have a rough
I mean,
time frame for when you plan to get these out on the market to everyone? I remember, I think it was last month or so now. There was donations or whatever made towards them getting them made or whatnot.
so good question. So I put, I thought I was being all business techie, and say, hey, let me try to crowdfund the situation.
That's the word, yeah, crowd fund.
So I made pre-orders for them, and I would need roughly 200 pre-orders in order to put it into production, because the mold itself would cost me $16,000.
Wow.
Yeah, it doesn't just make one; it makes like probably 100 at once, right? So it's not, it's pretty
Hmm.
intricate, and obviously the detail and the thread pitch and all that stuff and the intricacy of the design it warrants very high impact tooling and dyeing and things like that. So that's why the mold is so expensive. So I needed 200 orders in order to put this into production, and I got 15.
Damn,
So
man.
yeah, it is very obviously under budgeted. So what I'm basically going to have to do at this point is take out a $25,000 loan in order to put this stuff into production,
Wow,
to
man.
make this
And
actually
obviously,
happen.
and this isn't something you're doing at home in your garage, no?
No, there's a company in China that specifically makes plates and other medical industrial grade and sterilized equipment, and they have agreed to manufacture this for me. Um, the patent is pending on it. It's been
Right.
submitted. Um, it's like fully CAD designed and submitted to them, and they are ready to build the mold based on my design. Um, but it's got to be funded first. So I'm probably going to end the pre-order um, portion of this at the end of this month, and then I'm going to fund it out of pocket, basically. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to increase the price of it. It's quite a good deal to begin with, as it is. I mean, 500
No,
plates for
no,
115 bucks is pretty good. The shipping, is tough
no.
on people. And
The price is amazing. I would order that and I'm overseas. Do you know what I mean?
right, especially since
So
they're like reusable, because you can clean them up and reclave them,
that's
and they
it.
should be a little bit.
I love that.
They should be get more resilient than polystyrene.
Mhm.
Especially like if you're dragging your scalpel on it and cutting the bottom of it, and when you cut sections out of it and things like that. But we'll see. I'm still hard at work at it, and I'm going to get it done either way, whether the pre-order production um, standards are met or not. I will
So
fund it
you're
myself in order to make it happen.
so you're short 5 pre-orders right now. I wanted to. I need to get on and do that.
No, I got
I'll add to
15
that.
pre-orders, and I need 200.
Oh, you need 200. I thought, why did
I
I
need
think 20?
200
Oh, you need
pre-orders.
20K or something like that. That's right. Yeah, I'm way
No,
off.
I am probably like $1,500 into a $25,000 investment.
Mhm.
Gotcha. Man, every
So
little
I
bit
need to
helps though.
I need to fund this myself, basically, in order to make it happen,
Yeah.
and I will be fulfilling those pre-orders. Um,
Sure.
so that's just motivation to carry on and just get it done.
Right. Telly said, "Put me down for 185 orders." Nah, I'm not ready for that, dude.
Yeah, cool. If he's got 20 grand laying around, I guess we can make it happen.
That would be super cool. Sweet. So that's what's up with the plates right now. That's cool. What else have you got in the works?
I mean, Sludge Tech was obviously a mistake. Um, that name was kind of coined by Mycelorium. Thank him for that. I don't know if he's in the audience, but basically, Baz has sent me like probably 2 pounds of his premix agar, and I didn't read the label because obviously ADHD doesn't allow me to read the label. I got to make an appointment with my wife if I want anything to be comprehended that's legible. So like I have to ask her to figure it out and then kind of cut it down for baby Michael to kind of understand in layman's terms. So I didn't read the instructions, long story short, and I like shorted the recipe like by like half, I guess. And this stuff didn't set up. And I was like, screw it. I'm not going to wait. I'm not going to let it go to waste. So I started inoculating this stuff and it took off like a fire. And it's really effective, obviously. If you're inoculating with sludge into a grain bag because it splats all over the inside of the bag, and I mean I've got like 4 pound bags colonizing in 7 days with this stuff, and that's one plate. So it's really effective. And so that's one thing I'm working on. Obviously,
the microwave or what's going on with that? First of all,
I need to hear this.
I have to know, dude. Like size, how big is that damn microwave? That is such a big tote you put in there. I was so blown away.
It's a shoebox. I mean, I think it's like a 6-quart tub, so it's not much at all. It's like I got it at Home Depot for like $5. I saw it like sitting there on. I had to go get fencing because my dogs are fighting with my neighbor's dogs. So my wife and I like trottled down to Home Depot, and I was like in the aisle with the cart, getting the stuff to fix the fence up, and I just happened to look down on a display, and I was like, I'll bet that tub will fit in our microwave. And she's like, yeah, it will. And I was like, screw it. I picked one up. I threw it on top of the fencing. I went home and I let it sit, in the lab for like a day or two. And I was like, you know what I'm going to do with this? I'm going to make a stupid video and I'm going to look like a complete idiot because this is going to contaminate immediately. I'm going to fill it with grain, fill it with water, throw it in the microwave, and attempt to sterilize, knock this stuff and colonize it, and then take substrate, mix it in that tub, literally all in one, and fruit from it. And
How's it looking?
I didn't think that I would get very far, but this is probably 1/6 colonized now. The grain, and it's 2 pounds. It's 2 cups of grain inside of there. I cooked it for 10 minutes in the microwave, literally for with 1.5 cups of water, which makes it 75% water to grain ratio. I put holes in it, obviously, micro pour taper on the side, so it's got like a bit of a filter in it, and it's ready to continue to colonize. And as soon as it does, I will post it up and show people that it is, and I will literally bucket take substrate and throw it in there and try to fruit from it. And
oh yeah,
it's not going to take the place of anything. Let's face it, but it will prove that you can clearly sterilize stuff and see it through to the end through fruiting process, literally in a microwave if you've got one big enough to fit a stupid 6-quart tub from Home Depot in it.
I think that kind of stuff, like I love techs like that because it makes everything we're doing more accessible. Because as soon as you get your foot in the door, if this is something you start to care about, all you got to do is get your foot in the door. And if you get your foot in the door and it's something you start to care about, then you progress and move forward and start doing your own grain and get your own PC and pouring your own agar, and then eventually microscoping shit and crossing stuff. It's a snowball effect for a ton of people. But getting your foot in the door and being able to do a microwave tech to sterilize grain is like, yeah, that
It
would
makes it
be super
really
cool.
accessible by literally
Yeah,
everybody, right? You can go and get birdseed
exactly.
from your grocery store in a tub from Home Depot and cook this stuff in your kitchen, literally, and be done with it, and get a culture from somebody and let it ride. It's possible.
Yeah,
I expect failure. Let's face that. And if I can get this through to the end, there is a method that's going to have this successful. Whether it's more
right.
water, less water, whether it's less grain, whether it's more cook time, whether it's a little bit more filtration around the outside of the tub, there's going to be a combination where this is effective. I'm 100% positive of that. And I am also
Yeah,
probably 95% sure that this is going to fail, because this is only my first attempt at doing something this dumb. So
yeah, but
we'll
that's
see.
realistic thought. But like, think about like Uncle Ben's tech and all these other techs are like, oh shit, is this gonna work? And like those things they do work, but it's not always 100%. But again, it's just getting your foot in the door. It's something that makes it accessible, whether it's 100% successful or not. Actually, none of this stuff is ever 100% successful, but
No, no.
um yeah, so I don't know, I love it. I think it's a dope idea, and I like that um you're willing to post the stuff and share success and failure. There's something I see in the space where, you're talking about egos and stuff earlier, and just kind of traits of people, and I think it's normal for us to, share our successes and like our coolest grows and all that stuff. I do appreciate that you're willing to share something that you're already 95% sure isn't going to play out to the end, but you just want to share the process. I think that kind of stuff's cool.
Absolutely. There's conviction in it for sure. I mean, I can't tell you how many times people are like, "Are you nuts? That's not going to work." And that makes me more motivated to keep trying.
Yeah.
Do weird things. It's all about experimenting, man. Having fun.
Hell yeah. Yeah, it's what it is, dude. If this wasn't fun, we gotta keep it captivating for ourselves, keep us involved and interested and keep playing, really. Well,
Like,
sorry, go ahead.
no, yeah, I do want to take a second to, I'll turn another thing that I'm working on is obviously I had steel water mutate on me. Um, I didn't expect this, obviously, but the result, I'm calling it Chud,
Oh
which is a
yeah,
stupid
yeah.
80s movie, about toxic stuff spilling in the sewer where people lived and turning them into mutants. But yeah, long story short, I'll turn my video on so you guys can see this.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
let's see it.
I was actually
But long,
curious on where you got the name from as well.
it's a dumb 80s movie, but I'm pulling this out of a tub right now. So here's Chud.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
And this is Stillwater. Um, obviously clearly mutated. And that's another quick thing that I do want to say to people is, a lot of times when we're getting stuff from people at this point, because it's trendy, it's bag trained. Um, so I tried to kind of simulate that with Stillwater because it grows best in a bag. And so I basically scotch taped all the holes off of my tub, because I'm a tub grower. I take everything and I run it in there. And what we got was a mutation from Stillwater that looks like this, and it looks like, obviously for our viewers that can't see, almost something that kind of resembles, mutant like,
It's like a blob mutation of
yeah,
sorts.
like a
Yeah.
blob mutation, like a cloud, like Enigma almost, but not. This has gills embedded into it, and
Oh, that's crazy.
Are you able to take
yeah,
Are you able to take
you
spore
can
swabs from that?
you can swab this, but
That's
although
crazy.
like most of the time mutants will kind of almost bleed out in a way, and
Right.
usually contain the sporulation inside of those that kind of gel that kind of weeps from them. But this has gills all twisted and knotted up inside of it, and I don't know if you can see them in the
Oh, that's
earlier
dope.
iterations. You
Wow.
Yeah,
can.
that's cool.
So yeah, I will be able to swab this. I mean, it's cloned out, and it will be available on, Black Forest cultures, soon. So I just
Nice.
need to stabilize it and make sure that it is what it is. So I just wanted to
How
show
many
you guys
times
that
have
real quick.
that's super cool. Thanks for showing us. How many times have you run that?
This is
Like
the
run that
first
back?
time. This is the third flush of this.
Oh, okay.
And this is going to go up to Triptomics to get tested, obviously, and entered into the cup. Hopefully, it places well. So
Sweet.
we'll see. We'll see what it can do.
Yeah, that was my next question. If you've tested it or had it planned to be tested, so that's cool. So that's clone. So you ran it. You ran Stillwater and had blob pop up in a tub, and then you cloned that blob, or how did your process work?
Yeah, cut it open, dissected it, threw it onto plates. There's probably 10 or 15 different specimens from different flushes that I'm colonizing on plate right now, some of which are in sludge tech. And I'll try to attempt to grow it out again to see if it reverts or not, because I expect it to. But if it doesn't and it's stable, then I'll make it available for everybody, and then we'll get it tested and see how it does.
Awesome. Love that.
Hell yeah.
What else? You got anything else you want to let the people know about?
Sure.
Are we looking? Okay, yeah.
One last thing, obviously, I know we're coming up on time here. I am going to be running a contest. It's going to start today.
Ooh.
And basically, you're going to be able to win a 2x2 flow hood from Biological Concepts, which is Dichotomous Keys company, which is now
Yeah.
basically defunct. But this is the last 2x2 brand new in existence. And I'm going to be raffling it off straight for free with shipping. Now, I'm only going to open this up to US customers. And there are two reasons for this. The reason why is, one is because of power consumption needs are different, obviously, in the UK.
God damn it.
Sorry. I know that you would need a transformer. You would need a step down transformer to run this thing, and obviously a
you're good.
plug converter. And the second thing is that shipping on an 80-pound box like of this size would literally kill me.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So, if you make a purchase on Black Forest Cultures on Culture Cave between now and the end of the month, your name's going to get put in a hat. In order for this to get raffled off September 1st, I will be going in the Discord and on my Instagram and giving the results live of the drawing. And like I said, you don't have to spend much. You could be one syringe if you want to on Black Forest Cultures, and that will put your name in the hat to win this thing. And I will literally ship this out as soon as I pull that name out of the hat. Now, for my UK guys and Australian homies, what I'm going to do is on September 1st, I'm going to run a different contest, and that's going to be for some swag, some slaps, a full genetics package, and maybe even some supplies and things like that, shipped out to the UK and to Australia, um, two separate things. But it's not going to be based on sales or anything on Culture Cave. I'm going to make it social media based, and I will announce that on September 1st after this one's done.
Nice.
But that's how that's going to go. You've got until September 1st to make a purchase on Black Forest Cultures. And like I said, I'm going to raffle this bad boy off to somebody. And hopefully it goes to somebody that is new and that can't afford one and that needs it. And hopefully they do something amazing with it.
Yeah,
and I would
that's
love to see
awesome.
that.
Well, real quick, I want you to why don't you go ahead and shout your socials and sites and stuff. You've said Black Forest Cultures a couple times. Is that a .com or is that on Culture Cave? What's your like Instagrams, stuff like this, so that people listening can go check you out?
Sure. It's at Michael0gical. So that's MICHAEL _ OGCIAL. And that's on Instagram. And of course, you can find me in the Culture Cave Discord. And that's Black Forest at Black Forest at culturecave.store. And you can find that link in my Instagram to go and shop there. And of course, culturecave.store. We're all you have so many different options to buy stuff from so many different amazing vendors that I'm so fortunate to be a part of that. So these guys are all amazing people and are awesome to get stuff from.
Somebody shouted out to ask you about. There's something else here. Your site, psychology.
Yeah. So, Culture Cave is responsible for bringing so many different platforms. And that's Inoki.host doing all this development for Cultivr, obviously our new social media platform. And with psychology, that's basically something that is going to basically replace Discord. We'll have courses hosted on there so people can learn. And we're basically going to be inviting everybody over there to from Discord to join in a sub platform called Hyphae. And I'm sure that Platy will bring some of that more information to you guys soon. But yeah, Inoki.host is responsible for building all these different pieces of software that we interface with. So check those guys out on their Instagram, and if you want your own personal site, you can have them build one for you. But they're responsible for coding and developing Culture Cave as a whole from the ground up, from the beginning.
Gotcha. Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, dude, we really appreciate you coming on and chatting with us. It's been good.
It's been awesome.
Love to have you on again at some point and kind of check up on things down the road. But yeah, again, thank you for joining us. Everybody in the audience, we thank you guys for joining in, throwing in some questions, being a part of all this. Really makes it all worth it. And anybody listening that wasn't able to make the live, join us next time. I think we've got another show next Saturday at 2:00 Pacific Standard Time. That's 5:00 Eastern and 10 p.m. GMT. That's in the Platypus.
That's going to be
Discord.
fungus frequency, right?
Next week, man, I'm going to sound terrible. I think so. I get it. I'm ADHD too. I forget it all, but I know I've got one Saturday. It might be fungus frequency. I'm super excited about his.
Jeff's great to talk to for sure.
Yeah, he's such a good.
But yeah,
dude.
you guys, I appreciate you guys for having me, and thank you. And you guys are killing it. I'm so proud of what you guys took and turned this into. I mean, I know what it takes to kind of stay involved in this and put your time and effort into something that, you know, is a lot of sacrifice from your time. You know, you guys are killing it. So.
We appreciate you and we appreciate your support too. You're always shouting it out and hey, go listen, or suggesting people to talk to or to reach out to us to talk. And yeah, it's all that community helping each other out and helping things grow and getting information out. And I love it.
Definitely.
But yeah, if you guys listening, join us Platypus Discord, and yeah, hit us up on the next one. Appreciate you guys being here, and we will talk to you next weekend.
All right.
You guys
Thanks,
have a
guys.
good one.
Later.
Take it easy, everyone.
It's family forever. A huge thank you to our guests for joining us today. And to everyone listening around the world, if you enjoyed this episode, follow PT, SporeCast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Leave us a review and share it with someone who loves the culture. Remember, knowledge grows when it's shared. Until next time, stay curious, stay humble, keep growing, and and we'll catch you on the next PT SporeCast. Grow together.